Hi, good morning. My name is Kim Weeks with Weeks Well, and what else would you be doing on Monday morning to start your week than talk about yoga therapy as a lineage on Weeks Well, where we are every single month, sometimes multiple times a month, bringing you roundtable conversations on what lineage is, what yoga lineage is, and why it matters. So we are honestly spanning 5 different time zones in this phone call, which is why for Eastern Standard Time people, or maybe just for Americans, this call is a little early. I know we have some coffee drinkers on Pacific time logging in, and we have a representative from India Standard Time as well. So we're really spanning the globe to talk about this international conversation. And I'm just so delighted to have my roundtable guest of women to discuss yoga therapy as an emerging discipline and profession that is not a lineage, in fact, but draws from many different lineages. So before I introduce my guests, I just want to do a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, we have 3 poll questions for you because our groups keep getting bigger in this lineage conversation, and it's very intersectional. So we're super interested in where you're coming from, what you care about, and what you want to know going forward. So first of all, we have 1 poll question coming up, and that is, are you, Alyssa, you can put the first question up. Are you a yoga student, yoga teacher, or both? Do you mind answering that? That would be amazing. Thank you so much. I'm looking at my questions. I know we had 3, but now I'm nervous and forgot. Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is what we expected, but it's super cool to watch the sort of, and can you all see it on your screens? Yo, you can't. Oh, I guess that's just us. So basically we have like almost 80% of attendees who are both yoga teachers and students, which is sort of what we expected. And the second question is, you can go ahead and put that up, Alyssa. Are you a C-IAYT? And we were really interested in that to know, are you a certified International Association of Yoga Therapists, yoga therapy teacher? And yeah, so basically we're looking at, yes, we've got a minority of people C-IAYTs and a majority who are not, but not by much. It's like a 60-40 split. So that's really interesting. Thank you so much. And then finally, how did you hear about this session? We're doing everything we can to kind of crowdsource these through our attendees, our guests' newsletters, through our newsletters, through the ever interesting and changing social media landscape. And so we appreciate you letting us know. We'll have like a questionnaire at the end, so you can tell us what you thought about the session and what you'd like to know more of, et cetera, but that'll come much later. So in terms of the further housekeeping of the session, the chat is closed for you to us, because that's our channel to send you during the session links that we think you might be interested in. Bios, for example, of each of our guests, and also other information that we hope when you attend live, you can hop off of from after the call and do more research or study or learning. Most people, we are finding, watch this session on recording. So we'll put as many of those links in the comments on YouTube as we can. So for those who are watching this on recording, you can look down below and see that these links that the live attendees are getting. And finally, the Q&A you'll see down there is where you can ask questions as the session goes on. This is a 75-minute session. And we have a couple of really simple questions that I have found over a multiple year period hosting webinars like this one tend to be plenty in terms of creating conversation for learning and direction for you. So if there's more questions that come up from the very simple ones that I start with, do please, of course, let us know. And Alyssa, my producer, who you can't see, but who is behind the scenes pulling all of the levers, I can't thank enough, and also can't thank my guests enough for being here today. So I am joined by a group of yoga therapists, International Association of Yoga Therapists. In full disclosure, I'm currently working with IAYT on some sort of strategic communications work. And in doing that, and simultaneously doing this lineages work, it occurred to me we should really talk about where yoga therapy is on the map of yoga lineage, where it is within the context of yoga teaching and yoga work, basically the profession of being a care provider and a service provider in the yoga industry. And so I'm joined by Saraswathi, who is calling in from Chennai, India. So that was where, if you did see the social post from, Colorado to Chennai, that's where we are in terms of our time zones. And Diane, who is the head of MUIH, and actually let me go back to you, Saraswathi, the founder and director of YogaVahini, which I'm looking forward all the way through for you just to describe what your core work is every day. So there's the link, and again, you can look on the chats. The links are coming through to describe further, because I don't want to take too much more time describing their bios. Not that their bios aren't really interesting, but when I talk about them, they're really boring compared to what you'll hear about them as the call goes on. And so Diane Finlayson is so let me make sure I get the department chair of the MS Yoga Therapy program at Maryland University of Integrative Health, which has really been a change maker in yoga. I am a little biased because I was for 20 years in Washington, DC, and heard a lot about her work and heard a lot about MUIH. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about how this university program has become a fixture in the yoga therapy world, to continue to elevate this profession and this work in a way that in the other self-regulating format of yoga teaching in the RYT-200 and RYT-500 Yoga Alliance credentialing, registration, because Yoga Alliance is a registry. It is not a credentialing body, as I think hopefully everybody on this call knows. So it's just very interesting to see how the RYT-200, RYT-500 is kind of like a moving target, whereas MUIH is clearly not, because it is a credentialed university. And then I have Lois Steinberg, who I'm so glad to see. Thank you so much for coming in today. She's just coming off of a pranayama class like minutes ago. And Lois Steinberg is a Ph.D. She's also an Iyengar Yoga Teacher and C-IAYT. The Iyengar Yoga Teacher part is important because she's a senior level, level 4 Iyengar Yoga Teacher, which means she's been at that for a very long time as well. And she's calling in from Ohio. Oh my gosh, Lois, sorry about that, from Illinois. And then finally, I have Molly McManus, who's the co-owner of Yoga North International SomaYoga Institute, which I want to pause on for just a second, because this somatic therapy thing I'm really interested in hearing about, if we can, during the call. And she's up in Minnesota. So we're coming from all over the place, speaking in the English language, of course, to talk to you about yoga therapy as an evolving profession and discipline. And I'm going to open it to the 4 of you. I'm just going to see who wants to jump in first to talk about yoga therapy as this evolving profession and discipline, and not necessarily a yoga lineage. The 5 of us had a really interesting talk about how to describe this call, and we started there. So who'd like to talk, or first tell us a little bit about yoga therapy as a profession and a discipline that is evolving in the 21st century? Don't be polite, unmute, tell us what you think.
Well, I'll jump in. I don't call myself a yoga therapist, and I'm a yoga practitioner who happens to teach. And in the teaching in our school of Iyengar Yoga, from the beginning, we teach how to help students in the class who have common ailments. So if they have, foot problems, knee, back, neck and shoulder problems, how to adapt the poses to include them in the class, not as a therapy. And then as you practice and learn and study more, you do start to learn more precision kind of therapeutics, where you do help people to be comfortable in their discomfort, not necessarily cure them, or to cure them. And so that is different. I do have separate classes for therapy, but I don't consider it as a separate entity. It's all yoga.